I've been trying to document my journey through DAWless gear for the last couple of years now. First setup I did with the SP and the circuit tracks. And looking back on that, it was very simple compared to what my setup would become. I had a whole convoluted DAWless setup where the Digitakt as the brain sending MIDI to all kinds of different gear, and then the circuit tracks was also sending MIDI to a few synthesizers to create a sort of live looper on top, and then everything would go into the SP. And it's awesome, but times have changed for me. I've become a parent. I've been teaching music production a lot more. I don't have that kind of time or flexibility in my schedule to sit with a ton of different gear. So instead, I've been developing a much more streamlined workflow, and we've got just a couple pieces of gear because this setup has been my go-to now in this busy phase of life. So basically, take a sampler and some sort of instrument and sample something into here, chop it up, and then keep building. You can keep recording instruments. Let me show you what I'm talking about with the song I've done before, and then we're gonna do something new. So I've got this guitar sample that I set to Slice, which is one of my favorite machines here on the Digitakt. And then I've just chopped it up, and then I've got these drums. The idea isn't so much to get these perfect songs, it's to just use the limitations of just a few pieces of gear as inspiration and as a creative challenge, really. And that's what I've really been liking, is to figure out what can I do and just have these sort of simple workflows that get things done quickly. And then I can, in another time, work on mixing it. It's all just these micro sessions, really. So let's get a new pattern. Let's go to what would be our kick. And I did get a drum set recently, and I've been doing a lot of drums, so I recorded a couple drum loops in here. So it's at 98. So I'm gonna set this to 98 because it's always good for a boom bap beat. But we might actually do slice mode. We're gonna chop this up, maybe 64 steps. Let's set that off. So let's put in some hi-hats that we'll use as a click track, and let's just record and see what happens. So that, I think, is gonna be our drum. Now what we're gonna do is really get into the point of this new setup, and that's just one piece of melodic gear. And so I've got the S1 here. I actually, a channel member, Levi, sent me this really cool stand. And so we're using that. It makes it a lot easier to do. So shout out, Levi, thanks for sending that. So let's get on our mixer. And what we're gonna do is go over to Bank 2, because I've got all of the sounds from my S1 synth cookbook, and we're gonna choose one. That could work. Kind of feeling something in D, but maybe like a modal. Get that that A flat or G sharp. Let's see, let's play that beat. I already like that. You know what? Let's just record that in. And I have it set to 64 steps, so it's just gonna take that bar. That should work. So again, I don't worry too much about quantization and stuff, because oftentimes we're gonna really mangle this thing up anyways. I like to, when I'm labeling, kind of classify it so I know if I ever want to use it in something else, or if I look back at this project in 10 months and I'm like, what is going on? I at least know the sample is in D major, and I'm going to put arpeggio so we know. So we'll set it to 8, and then we'll go from there. I think we're going to do is warp it. Let's hear what happens. And then drop it down. And I absolutely love what warp can do to a track. But you often get those unwanted pops and clicks. So what I typically will do to avoid that is add some low pass filter, and then what I think we'll do is put the frequency on the LFO and have that stock. Now that's getting trippy. Okay, now these headphones always make the hi-hats sound quiet, so I'm gonna drop the hi-hats a bit and we'll go with that. Okay, so let's see. So we dropped it 4 semitones. So 1, 2, 3, 4. It should be this A sharp. Okay, that should work. I have this bass that's from my Minilogue, and that's something I do. Sometimes my sessions will just be sitting with one piece of gear and sampling a ton of sounds into the sampler, one shots that I can use chromatic mode on. Because my idea here is do things in phases. Sometimes I have a sound design session where I'm just sending things into the sampler, and then the next session might be taking all those sounds and seeing what I can make out of it. This one we're kind of doing a combination, but yeah, let's use this bass. And I think I wrote that it's C. Yeah, I have C note bass, so we know the note is C, so that when we put it into the keyboard, it will work. Now that's a bass. We're gonna add some attack. Maybe not actually. So we've got a pretty hypnotic sound going on. Let's go in and let's try something with this side chain. Let's go side chain to track 1. It's just like too clean without that side chain, so I want a little bounce. That sounds pretty good. I think we've got something there. So we're doing a little dry and a lot of wet, so there is some pure sound coming through, not side chain, to kind of give some more character and get a little more grit. There's less. I don't want just total bounce, right? I want some of that transient to come through, because if we did the total... Actually, what do I know? It actually sounds kind of better this way. But sometimes you want that mix of dry wet so that it's not full side chain. All right, let's get a different sound on this. I like that. Okay, perfect. You know what we're gonna do? Because we have so many slots open, let's sample. So we need that one to actually hit on the 3, because it didn't start recording until I started playing, but I actually play on the 3, not on the 1. So we're gonna put that right here and up that. That's my problem. Wrong one. And I'm gonna add a lot of reverb because I have reverb on the S1, and so that sample tail is gonna be kind of choppy. And what I think we're gonna do is put this one on warp. Because I felt like it was not sitting in the right octave for that. All right, let me just try if we put it in reverse. Oh, both of these work. Ooh. I know what we can do. Let's go on that last one. I want to see. I'll explain what I'm doing after, and then we're gonna have to call it a day. Okay, so right here we're gonna set a trig, and let's change this. I'm gonna see if this works, and then here we're gonna set another trig and put this back to 16. We might have to, I might have to set all of these to 32. Let's see. That worked! Yes! All right, so this is my DAWless workflow for 2025. It's very different from the kind of ambitious, using all these different synths and samplers and chaining them all together with MIDI. That totally works, it's awesome, but if you're short on time, or even if you just want to try something different, give this a shot. But with that, I think we'll call it. I'm gonna just quickly play out something, but I do have to get back in the house to watch my son. But it's been great hanging out with you, and I'll see you next time. Now I gotta remember what I've even put on here, so we'll go